Everyone, hope you're doing well. Sam, one of our subscribers, kindly emailed us last week and said, hey, do you know that ranking off videos are quite popular at the minute? Ranking off, he said, get your minds out the gutters. Anyway, Sam said, have you considered ranking off all of David Moyes' signings? Myself and Gonzo. Have you? Anyone in particular? Skamaka, definitely Skamaka.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's one in my mind that's going to get a bit of that's going to get a more ferocious ranking off than some of the others. That's for sure.
Anyway, we're here to take a look at all the players David Moyes has signed during his tenure at West Ham United across 2 different spells as well. We've got 5 different categories for you today. At the very top, we've got outstanding, the creme de la creme, the ones who showcased fantastic value for money and had a big part to play while David Moyes is West Ham gaffer. Below that, we've got thumbs up, people who made a positive impact at West Ham, maybe produced some good value for money. It could be different reasons we pop them in there. Then we've got Rich Tea Biscuit, Gonzo. Just does a job, but nothing too exciting. They go in there. Then we've got thumbs down, those who maybe were bad value for money, didn't perform very well. Various reasons, we'll stick them in there. We'll discuss it as we go. And at the very bottom, we've got shouldn't have bothered. Unfortunately, we can all think of 1 or 2 players we're automatically putting in there, but we'll discuss it as we go. Right, Gonzo, are you ready to rock and roll?
I am. Looking forward to it.
Let's kick off then. Let's take a look at our first person. It is Neil Good.
Shouldn't have bothered, Geo. Shouldn't have bloody bothered. Chased the geezer for 2 years, got injured before he played a game, missed the first half of the first season he was meant to play. Starts to play, looks good, then looks terrible, in and out the team, then decides that he doesn't want to play. Yes, I know, lifted a trophy, very, very good. Then decides he doesn't want to be at the club. Looks like we're going to sell him at a massive loss. We'd honestly be better off spending our £35 million elsewhere.
Yeah, harsh start for you. I think I'd have put him in Rich Tea Biscuit and said it's actually, no, you've persuaded me. It's a shouldn't have bothered. Like you said, it's been a waste of money. If it was a free signing, I think I'd shrug it off kind of thing. But like you said, where you're spending that much money on him, I do feel a bit sorry for him because of the injury at Ibrox. So he didn't really he missed the first half of his first season with us. And I think that's quite important, really, and a little bit harsh for him. But I can understand why you're putting him in the bottom tier. You've got no complaints from me, Gonzo. I'm agreeing. So Nathan Gerd goes in, shouldn't have bothered. Moving on to our next one then, which is Edson Alvarez.
Well, you take the lead here, mate.
I think he's in one of these 2. And the reason I think he's in one of these 2, I think I'm inclined to put him in thumbs up. And the reason being is, in terms of his performance, in terms of him as a player, I'd possibly put him in outstanding. But I think we have to take everything into consideration, value for money, etc. And it's not always been sort of smooth sailing between him and Moyes. Maybe at the end of it, so it's a bit harsh. But I think there's also other players who have been better signings for David Moyes at West Ham than Edson Alvarez. And I'm not sure I feel comfortable putting Alvarez in the same category as 1 or 2 others we're going to get on to. Yeah. So that's why I think I've gone the one down at thumbs up. Good signing, more to come. But in terms of what he's done under David Moyes' West Ham, it's been good. But I think there's others that have been better.
Yeah, to paraphrase what you've just said there, may well be a good signing for David Moyes, but could grow to be an outstanding signing for the club. Not an easy job to come in, particularly what's happened with Declan Rice. And I would disagree with what David Moyes said, not directly about him, what he hinted about with him. I think he's been the least of our midfield problems, apart from his penchant for going on the naughty step. Yeah, thumbs up from me too.
And what about Alphonse Areola?
I can't quite stretch to outstanding because we've had some good players at the club, goalkeepers, I mean, over the years. He looks to be really decent. There's been a lot of goals let in. I don't think it's all his fault. I do think he's would definitely have been a contender for Hammer of the Year, and somebody that we discussed prominently on our Patreon version of that competition. And obviously missed his first ever season with West Ham, apart from he was a cup goalkeeper, wasn't he? So he had to bide his time. I think he's been patient. I was surprised he signed because he didn't really feature during the loan period. So for that much, so for him to sign permanently was having not played much Premier League football was good. Yeah, he's a good signing, a good goalkeeper. I look forward to more next season.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And also, we've got another goalkeeper to discuss as well that was signed on David Moyes. And it could be a healthy debate. It could be a fruity one. But I think there's an argument that one was slightly better than the other one. But I agree with you. I think he's been a really good signing for us, a fantastic keeper. But I'm taking value into consideration. When you spend 11 million on a goalkeeper from PSG and you hand him over 100 grand a week, I expect him to become one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, truth be told. And I think he's been very good for us. However, he's not been the perfect goalkeeper. There is flaws in his game. I think he has succeeded, or he's performed better at West Ham because of the way we play under David Moyes, which I guess increases his value. But that's what we're doing this for. So I think you put him in the right category, which is the second one down, the thumbs up category. And I'm happy with Alphonse Areola in there. Next up, possibly one of the trickier ones to do, Saïd Benrahma.
I'm going to put him in the Rich Tea biscuit. I'm going to give him a quick dunk on that one because I mean he did score. There's going to be a lot of people who featured in the European final. He scored in the European final, and that really does count for something. I think as a transfer, it's more or less a failed transfer. I don't think he suited David Moyes. I think he was somebody that we wanted to be Eze. We didn't get Eze. I think at that point Moyes didn't get his choice. I think somebody at the club bought him, and it never really worked out. And it sort of looked like that, really.
Oh, that'd be a tier list for the summer then. Who bought who? Right, let's go.
That would be. We wouldn't have a clue, would we? We wouldn't have a clue. Look, we suspect it was Sullivan, and it was agent led. But you know, you'll never know. We'll never truly know the truth. But you never ever thought that Moyes ever really liked him or wanted him. So, and he flattered to deceive. But I can't put him in thumbs down when he played such a pivotal role in our most important game in 43 years.
I think he's the most Rich Tea biscuit player that we'll have. I don't know if there will be another one. I'm trying to think of who we've got coming up, but he definitely is that. He had good moments, bad moments. He had moments where there was a little bit of brilliance, but there was moments where it was a bit boring and he wasn't good enough for West Ham. We signed him under circumstances like you said, but we also signed him when we were effectively a relegation battling team. And that's when we went and got one of the best wingers in Championship. It's the right thing to do at the time. We outgrew Benrahma. However, he's written his name in West Ham history. Yeah. I think in terms of value for money, I think we've done all right there. I don't feel like we've been mugged off, but also I don't feel like we've had a bargain. I think we've got what we've paid for, which is okay. So I think Rich Tea biscuit is perfectly acceptable for Saïd Benrahma. Moving on, then we've got Jarrod Bowen.
Straight up the top, Geo. What can you honestly say? You say we outgrew Benrahma. Bowen has grown with us, and possibly even at times you could argue that he could have possibly argued that he outgrew West Ham. He is just a magnificent footballer, and he's going to go on and be an absolute West Ham legend. He's going to play. I don't know how many appearances had already. He'll be the top Premier League goal scorer by some margin by the time he's finished. Hundreds of appearances. Just going to be a West Ham legend. Outstanding signing, and still arguably got some of his best years ahead of him.
Yeah, I completely agree. There couldn't be. He almost deserves his own tier. Just outstanding. And then there's a Jarrod Bowen tier where it's like, wow, we've had a bargain here. But like you said, we evolved. He grew with West Ham. He's been absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing him next season. And I'm happier when he's in the starting 11, and I'm worried when he's not. And that just shows how good Jarrod Bowen's been. He's been fantastic for West Ham. He's been fantastic for David Moyes. And I'm going to get a bit of stick for this, but it's not only me that said this. He said it himself. Moyes has been fantastic for Jarrod Bowen. And Bowen has said that about David Moyes, in that he's been a pivotal part of where he's got to. Got to go from the Championship to the England squad. I don't think... there will be some cases maybe, but I think I struggle to believe you can do that without the help of your manager. I think your managers had to guide you and help you along the way to go from Championship to England squad and everything in between. Outstanding person, and love to have him at the club. A West Ham legend. He just needs the longevity side of it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Next up, Maxwell Cooney.
Well, we shouldn't have bothered. I'm sorry to say, we just shouldn't have bothered. Now, as you will hear me argue over in the next couple of days, or possibly the previous few days, the story for Cornet might not quite be up yet. But as it stands at the point of recording this video, which is his tenure under David Moyes, what this is all about, shouldn't have bothered. What was the point? Again, we could put this stat in a category of who actually really bought him. I struggle. I think David Moyes bought him and then did that to him. Got injured, never really recovered. Physically, he recovered for it, but in terms of his standing with David Moyes, he never recovered from that injury, even though he completed his physio and he's 100% fit. Never recovered from the reputational damage with David Moyes, and he was never going to. And as David Moyes proved at the end, sell Benrahma, sell Fornals, need a left winger. I'll put George Murphy there. It had deteriorated beyond anything and everything there. So it's a waste of 17 million at the moment.
Bowen was perfect for Moyes. Moyes was perfect for Bowen. Moyes was horrific for Cooney, and Cooney was horrific for David Moyes. Like, you literally two players back to back. This is done in alphabetical order, by the way. I haven't picked it on purpose. Until we get to Evra, he's at the end for a reason. Someone else made the tier list. We used it and they forgot Patrice Evra. So that's why. But that Patreon thing was on the screen a few minutes ago. We had to edit it. So there's actually a gap in there that we deleted while we went about
we hid the edit under a Patreon banner.
Basically,
Clever.
if you go back to the very start of the video, and when the tier list pops up, Evra's not there. When you next see the tier list, Evra's there at the very end. Anyway, you couldn't pick two people next to each other to show the good and the bad of David Moyes. Just a horrific transfer, and some transfers have been bad. It's one of them that I think it was possibly doomed to fail from the start. The Cornet one, I can't agree to that. I think Cornet is a really good player, and he has the tools to succeed at West Ham. He just wasn't given the chance, and that's why I get frustrated at, because I actually think, in terms of a profile of a player, I think he ticks a lot of the boxes that Moyes actually likes from somebody on the football pitch. It's just off the pitch or out the country in France. It didn't go well with the gaffer. Never recovered. Shouldn't have bothered. I'm tempted to put him in the thumbs down because I feel like it's mismanagement.
For sure.
But I'll leave him in the shouldn't have bothered category for this one. Moving on, then we've got Vladimir Coufal.
Our thumbs up. That's a very, very good signing, Geo. 5 or 6 million, whatever it is. He'll be remembered really well, Coufal. Really, really well. Not a legend, but he'll be a bit of a cult player, I feel. Definite thumbs up from me. If I was doing this on my own, I might have put him in the outstanding category, but I don't feel strongly enough about it to sit here and argue with you and try and get him promoted, because I think for 5 million quid and 35 grand a year, what are you laughing at? I'm just laughing if you were in a position like in an HR role or something in a company, and somebody was really relying on you for a promotion, and you went in and you were in with a boss, and they were ticking through these members of staff, and they say, so such and such an accountant, and you say, do you know what? I can't leave him where he is. I'm not sure I can be bothered to argue with you to give him a promotion, quite frankly. So we get out of here and have a cup of tea.
In fairness, his agent's got the same attitude, and that's why Coufal's unhappy. But 5 million, he's on low wages, 35 grand a week or something. He was an emergency signing because Fredericks got injured and Souček said, well, I know someone, friend of a friend kind of thing. But I think he's been fantastic for us. I think he's been brilliant for David Moyes. Everything that Moyes wants in a fullback, Coufal's given it to him. And listen, Moyes has been good for him as well, because when he was out of form, Moyes stuck with him.
For sure.
We had that incident last year where Moyes took him out of the team, and then he basically said, right, I'm going to leave in January. They had a phone call, and Moyes said, right, stay, don't go, I'm going to put you back in. And he stayed. He went in and he played well and stayed in the team and stuff. So it feels like they've almost had a relationship where there's been a few disagreements, but they've solved it like they should, just by having an actual conversation.
I think that's why Moyes picks and chooses who he has that conversation with.
Yeah, probably. But I would say outstanding, but I'll agree with you on this one and let you overrule me, and we'll put him in thumbs up. Craig Dawson, however,
it's outstanding. It just is outstanding. We put the context in here. The money, loan signing, cheap signing, times our best defender. And I'll tell you something now. If we still had him and he hadn't gone to Wolves, we wouldn't have had the minus 74. But I mean, we wouldn't have shipped 74 goals this season with Dawson in the team. No way. Big leader lost as well. You talk about quiet authority. He had it as well. We never got to see Dawson with Ward-Prowse on the taking the corners. So
imagine that! Wow,
I have, and it's good. I can see the goals in my head, which is funny. After Dawson scored them, but yeah, outstanding, wonderful.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I was never his biggest fan,
No.
And if we did this last summer, I'd say, man, no, thumbs up. I'd say we're going a bit OTT here. Let's bring him down a level. But because we have had the season we've had without him, I've missed him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was never the biggest fan of Dawson, as many other people have been. I always felt there was an error in him. But I can also appreciate that, like you said, another player with a cult hero status at West Ham, and he didn't need to win a trophy to do it, whereas one or two of them probably needed that win in Prague in order to get that little cult hero status among the fan base. So I'm letting you win a lot today, Gonzo. I must be feeling kind or something. Right, next up, we've got Flynn Downs.
You do it.
Well, I think it's the shouldn't have bothered one, really, because I think his performances were okay. They weren't magnificent, but there's context here. In the European games where he got played in his best position, he was really good, often man of match. Then when we usually see them in the Premier League, I mean, there was games we played him like on the wing. It was just he's not had a fair crack. But unlike Maxwell Cornet, who contributed to the bad transfer, if you like, the poor relationship between the player and the manager, Cornet's had his bit involved in that by going away to France for treatment. I never really feel Downs did anything wrong to sort of deserve the cold shoulder from Moyes. And again, it's another who signed who, because, and listen, he might only have one signing, but this one's very much at the door of Mark Warburton, because, listen, like you always say, there's coincidences in football, but sometimes there's actually evidence. And we hire Mark Warburton. Mark Warburton's daughter works for the agency we signed Flynn Downs. Flynn Downs is due to sign for Crystal Palace, and a handful of days later, he does a U-turn and comes to West Ham. There's just too many things happen very quickly that suggests that is why he came to West Ham, and his lack of inclusion would suggest that Moyes wasn't the one that wanted to bring him to West Ham. And that's why when I spoke to Warburton, I asked him about signing Downs just to see what his reaction was, and he obviously denied it. But I do wonder if there's a contributing factor as to why Mark Warburton walked out of West Ham. Hang on a minute, where's this? I brought this guy in, he's really good, and you're not even playing him. Like, this is the one signing I was involved in. You're just not even giving him a minute. So I'm going to put him in shouldn't have bothered, Gonzo, because quite frankly, that's exactly what we should have done with Downs. Yeah,
I mean, but Downs may prove to be a decent signing in as much as we bought him for 12 million. We're possibly could sell him for anywhere between 15 to 18. So there's a profit there. He got back to man of the matches in Europe and the season where we won a trophy. So, you could, you can make a case there.
By the way, what a season. He played, imagine doing one season at West Ham as a West Ham fan. It's the year you win a trophy for the first time in 43.
Yeah, and he was heavily involved in the group stage, heavily involved. So, really earned his winner's medal. No doubt about that at all. So, yeah, what can you say? We probably shouldn't have bothered, but there is context there. And that's not to say. The funny thing, I often wonder, because if he was at Crystal Palace, had gone there, he'd be thriving under Glasner at the moment. He'd be playing in that team ahead of Will Hughes, I'd imagine. So, yeah, but I'm not going to argue with you.
Emerson.
Thumbs up for me. Thumbs up. I was suspicious. I remember saying at the time we signed him for. I think we were meant to sign.
We thought he was Rich Tea Biscuit.
We really just exactly. In fact, we called him a hat. We had a meal deal. We probably should do this at some point. Do a ranking system. for meal deals, and they get something for someone to steal. And what we were,
can you include all the players on the thing so we can steal it back?
Absolutely, yes, please. And we decided he was so rich tea, was so beige, was so magnolia, so meh or whatever, that we decided he was a meal deal with ready salted crisps,
ham
a
sandwich,
ham,
and water.
plain ham, no pickle, no butter, no nothing, a plain ham sandwich and a bottle of water as the drink. That was the meal deal. I thought we'd signed him for 13 million. The first time I saw him play, I thought, yeah, 13 million pounds worth of player. I didn't think it was exceptional value, but yeah, I mean, he's really flowered this season, so it's been a good signing.
Listen, I think thumbs up to the right category, but his first, I don't know, most of last season, he was, as in like the one we won the Conference League.
Yeah,
he was average. Creswell at one point put him back out of the team.
Yeah,
and he came, and his performance in the actual final was magnificent. And then this season, he started the season really well, but I think he's been quite poor for the last few months. He's tailed off again, and it might be that Paqueta's moved and he's not got his teammate there. But listen, a top left back would be able to get on with any left winger, not just one guy. Yeah. And he's had numerous left wingers in front of him this season. He's had Ben Rama, Fornals, Kudus, Ben Johnson. He's had numerous people. So, and then adding Paqueta, so he's had 5 different left wingers. Let's take Ben Johnson away. I was just being silly. He had 4 left wingers, but he's only got a really good relationship with one. Come on, I expect our top left back to do better than that. Yeah. So I think, listen, good signing. And I'm not saying we were right to say it was a meh signing. It's better than expected, but I still don't think he's in thumbs up, right? But I don't think he's anywhere near outstanding, if you know what I mean. I think I could make an argument for Soufal. Some people could make an argument for Areola or Alvarez. I'm not having it, making an argument that Emerson could actually sneak into that top one, if you know what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this season.
Can I just make a quantified a meal deal thing, please? Yeah. Because I've been giving it some thought while you've been speaking. So I think like Jarrod Bowen had sort of been, like you get the triple one with the BLT and the chicken in and all the rest of it. Probably like some smoothie with berries and all sorts of stuff. And then maybe the sweet chili crisps and the Sensations ones, whatever your flavour is. And you get a chocolate bar as well. But I was thinking about Ben Rama. And I think he would be like, you get like weird concoctions and stuff that are overly flash in a sandwich. I think he might be an avocado and chorizo sandwich or something. And then like, that green, like you get a smoothie that's full of that green shit like nettles and stuff like that. And then some weird, I don't know, like sushi flavored crisps or something like that.
So you can get sushi as a side now. That's included in your meal deal, so you can have your sandwich you're drinking.
Wow, this is a complicated meal deal. I'm not sure how this is going to work. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, carry on.
Right, next up we've got Patrice Evra, because I know the alphabet and know that Evra comes after Emerson and before Jordan Hugo. So where would you like to put Evra? I think he's got to go in thumbs down.
I totally agree. Go on.
Because while you could say, well, he shouldn't have bothered, agree. But he did actually play, and he was horrifically and stinking bad.
He was bad.
Just
he was bad.
One of the worst signings I've ever seen us make. The guy's got a glittering CV in football, but you know what? So did Zabaleta. But the contrast of attitudes, never mind level of performance, just attitudes couldn't have been further apart.
Amazing, yeah, mate, yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, look, Evra. I think by the time we got him, he was more into his social media stuff.
He's more interested in licking and slapping a raw chicken.
He did spill the beans on the Zaha gate, though, didn't he? And Moyes stuff live on TV, which is just absolutely wonderful. Watching the producers, obviously in the ear of the presenters, they're trying to reverse and back out of it. Brilliant, good television.
Hugo.
Look, hopefully he's not listening. He's really lovely. Lovely guy. Shouldn't have bothered.
Whether you think it was one of two things. A, we were preparing for relegation and he was the striker for the championship, or B, we signed him because of David Moyes' brother, son.
Brother Kenny. But
Is a
also
football
his son.
agent.
I don't know his son. One of the Moyes.
He's a scout. The son's a scout. So his brother's the agent. His brother
The brother's the agent. Yeah,
was the agent. Allegedly, was the agent of Jordan Hugo. So we signed him for one of two reasons: either A, to get ready for next season, or B, to get his brother ready for next season.
Kenny Moyes' holiday. Allegedly, it's a joke. That was just a joke. That bit. I don't want to go all baby reindeer on it. It was a joke.
Right then. Next up, we've got Danny Ings.
Oh, I shouldn't have bothered. What a waste.
No, I'm putting him in thumbs down.
Bloody hell.
He's played far too much. He's played too much.
We agree on that. He's played a lot, far too much.
Like, the thing is, right, it's been a bad signing.
Yeah.
And it's cost a lot of money to buy him, and it's cost a lot of money to keep him here, and we can't give him away because nobody will pay him.
He's an overpriced Biscoff biscuit, never mind a rich team.
And I almost hope that Moyes has got a holiday out of this or something, so something positive's come from the signing of Danny Ings.
Allegedly, possibly.
I was so excited to get the guy that I wanted years ago at West Ham, and we're in a relegation battle. And I thought, brilliant, we're going to switch up the formation, we're going to start seeing goals coming in, but we didn't. And the worst thing is, Ings played all right, and Moyes alluded to the fact that he played better because he's a strike partner. And the next game, he continued to play him up front on his own. So the manager even identified why Ings' performance increased and did nothing. He literally stumbled or discovered whatever the answer and just discarded it. It just makes no sense. So I'm not putting in shouldn't have bothered, because I think that's always letting Moyes off with this, because it's almost saying, it's just a bad it's worse than a bad transfer, because some of the players in that category at the bottom are from abroad. So there's maybe an element of poor research or Moyes not knowing who the player is, just even though he's come in. There's literally no excuses with signing Danny Ings. There's none whatsoever. And the whole thing, he needs a strike partner. It's not even like a secret. Like, everybody knows Danny Ings needs a strike partner. So there's no excuses for this not to work out. It's just been an absolute shambles. So he's got to go in that category for me. It's got to be.
Oh, I don't care. I honestly, you stick him in that category. I couldn't care less, really.
What about Yao Mario, though?
Possibly outstanding.
Yeah.
Possibly out. Yeah. You've got to cast your mind back, get in the TARDIS, go back. There is
a trip down memory lane going on here.
The right signing at the right time. The thunder was stolen somewhat by Lanzini and Arnautovic, but make no mistake about it. When we needed some creativity, we need someone that was comfortable on the ball. We need someone to make that transition from the midfield. He was brilliant, and a free transfer, right? Or was it loan? It was loan. Yeah, loan. Incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. I thought he was brilliant for us, and we were more so than the second time. I thought, because the second time Moyes came in, we'd had a big spend up. There was quality in there, it just wasn't working. We'd spent 100 million or something that season. Husilos, both of them had spent, and Pellegrini. They do love it. They love a bit of nepotism at West Ham. So the Husiloses and the Pellegrinis had a spend up of 100 million.
Which benefited the Moyes.
I'm sure it all went on. I'm sure it all went on players as well. I'm sure none of it went on agents or anything. And they went and they brought in all this talent. The first time Moyes came in, the squad was nowhere near as good. So I think him bringing João Mario in, that transfer could not have worked out better.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm happy with him being an outstanding, for a loan signing. I remember his goal against Southampton as well. It's tricky to go back in time and remember all his performances, etc. But that goal will stick out. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and I was gutted that we didn't try and sign him with Pellegrini coming in that summer, because I thought he would have worked under Pellegrini as well. So it's one of those players that post his time at West Ham, you watch, and when he pops up, you think, why didn't we sign him, kind of thing. I thought he was fantastic for us. Next up, we've got James Ward-Prowse.
I'm going to go thumbs up, Geo. I think we got rid of our...
Why is James Ward-Prowse here? Like, it should be W. It should be... Anyway, never mind. Sorry.
So, hold on. Yeah. Oh, so you think it's been done on the J?
Yeah, but then...
JWP. They got on a JWP.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
What do you want to do? Discuss him later? You know, I've already told
No,
you.
you can continue.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
Thumbs up. We got rid of our set piece coach, and whilst it looks like defensively we've got rid of our set piece coach, the reason it didn't look like it had from an offensive point of view was because James Ward-Prowse has been doing, some good things in there, really. So I think it's I think it's been a decent signing, and probably more to come as well.
I would have put him in Rich Tea Biscuit.
Yeah.
And the reason I would have put him in there is because, listen, I actually think he's had a decent season. I think his numbers in terms of goals and assists is really good, really impressive for a centre midfielder. Although he has played as a number 10 in some games, I'm going to judge him as a centre midfielder because even if you stuck him up front, he's still a centre midfielder by trade. It's just that he's playing out of position. But there's been a lot of games where I feel like he's been one of the worst performers in the team. And he's exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Rich Tea Biscuit is to some extent, which is just, it's okay. But it costs 30 million. If we signed him for 8 million.
Move him down. Move him down to Rich Tea. Move him down.
Hey, I win one. I've won one. But if he was 8 million from the Championship, I'd be saying, yeah, thumbs up, brilliant. But this is a guy, 28 years old, who's been playing in the Premier League for ages. He's been captain of Southampton. It cost 30 million. We weren't buying an unknown player. This was an established Premier League player. I think we've had some really good performances. I think we've had some really bad ones. And I think we've had some bang average ones. And it's decent first season. And I think he'll go on to do better next year. But for under David Moyes, I think we've signed an average Premier League midfielder, and he's played like an average Premier League midfielder. And there's nothing wrong with that. People don't like it when we say that here. They say, oh, he's better than that. Okay, right. So we were to take 50 centre midfielders in Premier League. Where would he sit? I think you'd find he'd sit in the middle third. He's not as bad as some, but he's nowhere near as good as the best ones in the Premier League. He's an average Premier League midfielder, and that's not necessarily.
People do get upset when you say that. Yeah, you're right.
People get really angry. So that's why I just say, okay, then let's go through the teams. Starting with Arsenal, would you take Ward-Prowse or Declan Rice?
Yeah.
Let's go to Villa, Douglas Luiz. And if you were to play that game, I think you'd find yourself picking the opposition midfielder.
Well, it's the same with a David Moyes thing, isn't it, at the moment? Okay, Brighton haven't got a manager. Moyes is Brighton manager. Oh, no. Right, Chelsea, no manager. Moyes is Chelsea manager. Oh, no. And then you get to, right, by the time you finish, you think, right, okay, actually, we agree on it. You
just
yeah.
That's where you go. Actually, yeah, he'd do all right at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah. So, which is pretty much what I was saying to begin with before you took offence, yeah.
Sorry. But that's definitely where he's going to end up next season, Nottingham Forest. Tilo Kehrer.
Tough. What are you going to do with him? It's a tough one. I don't know what to do.
I think Rich Tea Biscuit.
Okay.
But I think it's because I quite liked him.
Yeah, I don't like him as well.
But he wasn't good.
No, but it was wasted. I think we wasted him. I thought he had the potential to be a captain, actually. I really like him.
Yeah.
But he embraced the club. It was a missed opportunity. That's bad management. I've got to say, that's bad management from Moyes on that one. I liked him. Yes, you're right, Rich T, but he could have been so much better.
It should have been better. Alex Kral.
Poor old Alex, eh? Poor Alex Kral. He got a long time to look at the porter cabins, didn't he, in the car park at the training grounds? Yeah,
well, he was in them doing nothing.
Well, crying. Or was it screaming? I don't know. It's a good translation. We don't know whether it's crying or screaming. Whatever. I remember saying on a video, whatever it was, it ain't good.
Released emotions, I think, was Alex Kral's own phrase. He released emotions in the car park because he didn't know what was going on.
Sounds dodgy.
I think Sam.
Illegal. Anyway.
I think that's what Sam has been watching. That's why he wanted us to do a ranking off video. Release some emotions about the West Ham players. Listen, he's got to be the most shouldn't have bothered player under David Moyes because even David Moyes didn't bother with him. And when I say that, I mean he didn't even speak to him. So,
it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah.
It was listen. Here's my theory, and I'm almost convinced I'm not far off the truth. We scouted him. Moyes scouted him. Moyes decided he's not good enough for West Ham. I don't want him. We weren't going to buy him. We didn't buy him. Then he became available on loan. And someone at the club, not David Moyes, but has the same name as David Moyes, decided, let's get him in on loan.
Not Kenny Moyes though. But the first name you're thinking?
Yeah, the first name's the same. Another person who has multiple people of the surname working at the club, a few more Z's. I think he's decided, brilliant, he's available on loan. We've scouted him, let's get him in. But what he's ignored is we've scouted him and decided we don't want him. But that's my theory, and I think I'm not far off the truth given the what.
So Moyes has said, "What's he doing here?" I'm not speaking to him.
Yes, pretty much. That I don't even think that's far away from what actually happened. Because if Moyes played him, he was a success. That Sullivan's would say, "Hey, we were right. You were wrong. You said not to get him. We went and got him, and look how good he is." Yeah. Moyes almost can't really win here, so he just ignored him. Mohammed Kudus.
Oh, outstanding! What a great first season. Just amazing. Trebled his value. Incredible. 18 goals, loads of assists, numerous man of the matches, two new celebrations. Both sitting down celebrations. Let's bit more in, Mo, if you wouldn't mind.
Robbed the ball boy's seat.
Was it? Where was it? They wouldn't let him have the seat. What was it? Newcastle. Where was it?
Well, it was first. Yeah, it was. He did it at home, and obviously our ball boy gave it to him. And the next game, I think it was Newcastle, and we didn't give him the seat because on the review, Newcastle fans were saying, "What's he having a pop at the ball boy for?" So I was trying to explain to them all, saying, "No, he was just asking for the seat," but the ball boy obviously didn't know. So the ball boy was like, "What are you wanting?" But it looks like Kudus was basically saying, "Get out of the way" or something. But he's actually just saying, "Can I borrow the seat so I can sit on it?"
I'll borrow your chair, please. But yeah, so great one there, and if that's no chair, no problem. We'll sit on the advertising hoarding instead. You know what? We'll even pop little George. There you go, son. It'll pop George Urphy up on there as well. Little arm rounds, Lucas Paqueta. Some good stuff there, really. One of the West Ham fans, before we played a game, travelled out to Ghana to watch him play. That's how loyal West Ham fans are. And then he heard about it, and they rewarded him with a shirt. Got a shirt to that West Ham fan. Just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Mohammed Kudus, just great. I never thought. I always thought it was going to be a massive problem if Jarrod Bowen couldn't play on the right wing. Massive problem for us. There's no way that I don't want Bowen to be our striker. I don't. But I thought we were really going to suffer if he's not there. But you know what? If Kudus, whenever Bowen's been out, Kudus has played there. Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, incredible player, incredible signing so far, and there's a lot more to come. I'm really excited. And outstanding for me. Jesse Lingard.
Outstanding. One of the best loan periods. I think we will live our lives out, Geo, and we'll not see a better loan signing than that. Different. I mean, you could say Dawson obviously was an outstanding loan signing, but different. One of them's defender, one of them's attacker.
So is Mario. We've got.
It's true. 3
outstanding loans.
Well, we're about to have another one as well. But it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, anyone that says there's no business to be done in January, I mean, we should just disprove it with this video. So it's that all we're doing is, it's no reflection on how it's ended up, no reflection on how long David Moyes chased him for. So I know people will write that in the comments, not dealing with that. What happened thereafter was ridiculous. But in the time when he came in January up until the end of the season, it was incredible.
3 of the 5 signings and outstanding so far were made in the January transfer window. Like you said, we're not finished yet either of the January transfer signings too. But yeah, he's got to go in outstanding. 11 goals in 16 games is just ridiculous. And what happened after, obviously, was not good, and it doesn't look good on anybody, really. And I guess it depends on what you believe. And I think the truth will come out one day. But I think Lingard at West Ham that 5 months when we had Jesse Lingard was when I enjoyed life under David Moyes the most, bar that one game in Prague. But in terms of the football being played, I really enjoyed that football. Yeah. If Moyes was able to replicate that, I'd have been happy with him staying as West Ham manager. That football for that 5 months, I thought it was fast, it was attacking, it was exciting. And we were scoring goals. And we were scoring goals pre-Jesse Lingard. But it almost felt like, not that we were drying up, but we almost did need a little bit of something new, something fresh to come in. And we actually dropped a couple of places in the league when Lingard arrived because we went from 4 to 6. But I think Lingard stopped us from dropping a little bit further down, and he kept us in that European places. Incredible signing for us. And, it's a shame what happened after it, actually, because he found a home, and instead of sticking around, he decided he wasn't going to do it. But in terms of Moyes, again, Bowen, he was right for Moyes. Moyes was right for him.
Yeah.
Konstantinos Mavropanos.
Good. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah. He has finished the season as our best centre half. That's a good signing. That's a good signing for me. 17 million, whatever it was. Yeah, that'll not a lot of awful lot else to say about him, really.
Well, I'll add, we did our player ratings all season on Patreon, and then myself and Gonzo, just before we recorded this, I'm away in Scotland for the next few days, so we've had to stack a few videos up with us both because I'm going to disappear for a few days. But we did the player ratings, and every game we've been giving them marks. Not just me and Gonzo, everyone on Patreon put marks in. We don't know what they are. We don't track them as we go. Stephen kindly compiles everything. We just get them bang at the end of the season. So today we had a look back at the ratings for everybody for the entire season combined. And Mavropanos was our 7th highest ranked player out of the entire squad. You can guess the 6 that were above him. But we decided, well, first, the other thing is, like Gonzo said, he was the top of the centre-backs. First season in to be the 7th in the entire squad. And it's been a bit of a bumpy ride for him. He hasn't always had a, and this is important, I don't think he's had a run.
No.
So I think he was a good signing for West Ham. Maybe not for David Moyes. I think he's been a rich tea biscuit for David Moyes, actually. But for the club, I think he's been a thumbs up. So I'll stick him in that thumbs up one, Mavropanos. Lucas Paqueta.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
You
said that reluctantly. Which tier were you debating?
Well, it couldn't be Rich T. He's got too much talent. He's done too many good things. The killer pass in the Conference League final as well. There's been times for his career when 85 million didn't seem enough. It seems too much at the moment, but so it sort of fluctuates there. So that's all right. But I think because of his recent form, I can't quite put him in outstanding. A little bit too patchy, a little bit too demonstrative sometimes, a little bit tantrumy. He can go missing from games as well, which I guess a lot of players that fulfill that role do. But not hasn't got the punch of someone like Kudus. I know they were a season apart in terms of the signings, the transfer, and not that power, will. I'm not talking about power in terms of strength, the will to win. There's a difference. There's a difference up there between them. I'm quite sure of it. So but a thumbs up. A wonderfully talented player, great player. And to be fair, Geo, I actually hope we keep him and he gets to play in this new system. I really do, but I can't put him up there with the others.
I've been reluctant to say this in the last couple of weeks. Can't be arsed with the aggro, but we're far enough into the video now that people are sticking around. They're probably not going to give that much aggro if I say it here. I think he was good for Moyes, but I also think he was bad for Moyes, Lucas Paqueta. And this doesn't reflect him as a player, just his suitability to the way that David Moyes played. But because he was almost so good, Moyes had to play him. And I reckon, this is just a guess, it's just a hunch and opinion. I reckon there's been some games where Moyes has either wanted to not play him or to hook him early, but felt like he couldn't. And he's bailed Moyes out on a few games. Olympiacos with that volley. There's been some games where he's just turned up and done something. Wolves was an important game for the season as well because we just got smashed by Fulham and we played Freiburg and we played Wolves and he got his hat-trick of assists. So there has been games where Paqueta's turned up and he's been excellent for Moyes. But there's also been games where I actually think he's been a liability. And if it was most other players, I think he would have got taken off with that level of performance. But Moyes felt he had to leave him on. And Moyes has said on more than one occasion, there's a reason Moyes kept on saying it, which was, I'll let him off with more things. I think it was Moyes' basic way of just telling everyone he gets the special treatment. I'm not okay with it, but I have to let him have
yeah.
get off with things. So I actually think he was really good for Moyes, but I actually think he was a bit of a problem for David Moyes. And at times, I think he had Paqueta figured out a little bit, weirdly, when he was on the left. And then when we allowed him to come into that position he wanted in number 10, I feel like Moyes almost not lost control of Paqueta. I think he lost Paqueta a little bit. The performances just weren't as good. They weren't there. So, yeah, I agree. Thumbs up, because he's not as the impact he's had. I don't think has been the same as someone outstanding in terms of value for money. It's not the same, but he's not worth dropping down closer to the ones below him. Calvin Phillips.
No. Whatever. Down.
I'm going to put him in thumbs down because he has had such a negative impact on this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if I keep forgetting. So yeah, I put him in the thumbs down. You can argue if you want to change it, but the reason I put him in there, I wouldn't be surprised if, and somebody with a lot more patience and cares more than I do could go maybe look at this. I wouldn't be surprised if we removed Calvin Phillips' impact at West Ham and we removed the goals he was liable for. I wouldn't be surprised if we finished 8th, maybe even 7th in the league. Jesse Lingard came in.
So why is it thumbs down and not shouldn't have bothered then? If you believe that's wrong?
Because shouldn't have bothered to me. I feel like you're almost shrugging it off and going, well, he didn't really do too much. Like Kone didn't actually do too much. Kral he didn't get a chance down.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to go in that category. I'll say we shouldn't have bothered signing him. I think it's listen, we sat here before the video saying, what should we name these characters? What should we name these categories?
But then thumbs down to me means that they were bad.
Do you know what? We're both arguing over what section of crap he was. So don't worry.
Stinking bad.
Yeah,
he was.
It's not like one of us saying he's good, is it? Let's be fair.
Lingard won us points and got us European football. I wouldn't be surprised if Calvin Phillips lost us points and cost us European football. Yeah. And I was all for the signing.
It's one of the worst signings we've ever made.
I was all for the signing. Just
me too.
Really, really bad. So big thumbs down for me. Darren Randolph. Now, let me interject. Context. Well, I know I said it before you could. Context. We signed him to get Roberto the hell out of goal.
Yeah.
And that has to be taken into consideration. Randolph is a player and a keeper. Not that good, but I'm going to make a case that he goes on the thumbs up. Because without signing Randolph, we might have got relegated that season because we would have had to. Well, to be fair, Fabianski came back
he did.
Quick enough, right? But Roberto was single-handedly, or actually with both hands, throwing us towards relegation, or no hands in some cases, was putting us into the Championship on his own. We had to get him out of that goal, and Randolph meant that we could get him out the bloody goal. I'll let you put him in Rich T. Biscuit, but I won't let you put him lower than Rich T. Biscuit.
Okay, put him in Rich T. Biscuit. I mean, listen, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. I mean, that's something special. That Roberto as a period in time. Honestly, I really wish. Basically, because we do YouTube, and a lot of you just watch YouTube, and you possibly wouldn't know there's copyright on a lot of stuff. There's a reason why after every video we can't do a review and look at the goals, because if you do it, you lose your channel, you get stricken off. It's copyright stuff. I would love to. I'm not bothered about the goals and stuff like that. I could care less. I would love to do a video like assessing Roberto's moments, because that would be sensational. I don't even like a montage. They put them together and put dance music to it and all that. I mean, us discussing and looking at his inability to catch is quite magnificent.
Charlie's the calmest person when it comes to watch-alongs. I would have loved to have seen Charlie. We didn't do watch-alongs back then. I would have loved to have seen Charlie's reaction on a watch-along to what Roberto did, because I think even the calmest person would have snapped watching Roberto.
Do you remember Big Phil Scolari?
Yeah.
So Chelsea played. Now you got to remember this guy. He won the World Cup as a player for Brazil. As a manager, he won the World Cup for Brazil. Very cultured, the samba stuff and all the stuff, right? Cultured footballing man. They played Stoke, and Rory Delap was throwing the ball into Chelsea's area, and he came out afterwards, and he was genuinely confused. He wasn't so any anger, And he said, I've never, ever seen in my life, I've never seen a footballer who was more skillful with his hands than his feet. Which I thought was an absolutely great line. And I used to think about Sklar. I wonder what he would say about Roberto. Never seen a goalkeeper that couldn't catch the ball before.
I've never seen a goalkeeper more skilled with his feet than his hands.
That would have been it. You're right.
that would have been what he said. Scamacca.
Go on.
No, you go.
It's a thumbs down. Didn't fit the system. Lost in the course of a year. Lost 7 million. I think we were lucky to get away with that. Really lucky to get away with that. Brilliant striker. Bad. No business. We had no business signing that man who was clearly not suited to David Moyes' style. And shame on David Moyes for not being able to adapt a little bit. We said it when Haller was there. Come on, mate, you've got no striker. Adapt your system a little bit. He couldn't do it. He really couldn't do it. And he lost him. Unfortunately, the thing is, Moyes can lose a lot of characters, and sometimes over time, when you've got someone as probably as feisty as Scamacca, you have to get them quickly. You have to capture their imagination quickly. And Moyes was never able to do it. Not tactically. He couldn't man manage him, so he couldn't manage him up there in the mind. He couldn't manage him on the football pitch. He couldn't tactically. He didn't know what to do. On every facet by which you would measure football management, Moyes did not know what to do. And it lost a lot. One of the many transfers where we lost a lot of money.
Yeah, some players that come and go at West Ham, you look at what they do post West Ham and you think, well, he just wasn't a good player or whatever. It's the player's fault solely. But actually, Scamacca is one of those you look at and you think, it's a huge missed opportunity. And if we did the whole who signed who, this is a Rob Newman signing for me personally. But he's identified a top striker in European football, whom I'd only seen play like twice, if that. But there was a lot of hype around him, the Italian journalists, and there was a lot of anger about him coming to West Ham and coming out of Italy, because that was Italy's number 9 and he should be playing in Italy, etc. So I was excited. And I remember Wolves at home where I thought he was incredible. That was like the complete performance for a striker. And it's just, injuries did not help, but it just always felt unpalatable for Scamacca. Like, he wasn't really enjoying it. He wasn't enjoying playing for West Ham. Didn't enjoy it in London. Didn't enjoy playing for David Moyes. And you felt that Moyes wasn't that fussed. And I wouldn't have sold him because I think statistically he still scored a decent amount of goals considering he only played half the season. But in the second half of the season, I remember we injected him up and he sat on the bench. And there was that game where there's that picture of him on the step of the dugout, stripped and ready to come on. We never actually came on, but he was ready to come on and he looked really sad. And that was with an injection. That was with a painkiller to get him through the game. So I wouldn't say he risked his health, but he wasn't 100%. And we were patching him up and not using him. And that must be pretty hard to take as a striker, actually. And he would have been watching, Danny Ings running around, and he's probably sat there thinking, what on earth is this? That's the guy that's playing ahead of me. Yeah. And
particularly, as you say, once you've injected him. So, thing, players don't have to accept that stuff and to accept the injection, do it, and then to not get used. Yeah, I'd be finished. I'd have a row after that. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I think he might have done because in the second half of the season, he didn't really play for us. He might have made a handful of minutes here and there, but he did make a handful of minutes for Italy. I think he might have played more games for Italy post-January than West Ham.
And this stuff, this is the sort of stuff that never, by the media lot that have laid into West Ham fans, they don't dare mention this stuff. Don't mention Scamacca. They don't. When they argue and it's just all the good stuff. Actually, there was massive flaw, as well as Moyes did for West Ham. There was massive flaws in his managerial game, and this really highlighted it. The Scamacca one. It was a terrible transfer.
Next up, Thomas Souček.
I think he's outstanding. Geo. January transfer on loan, made permanent. I mean, it's hard to. It's hard to, as terms of what we're doing on this video, which is not his form over the year or anything like that. It's as a transfer for David Moyes' transfers. This really worked out for him. This was an excellent. Your man identified him. What's Jordan Miles?
That's it.
I mean, just magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. I really do. I think it's been a magnificent signing for David Moyes and for West Ham, I would suggest as well. A bloody good, committed servant who has got some wonderful technique when he shoots, and not so much when he passes it. But brilliant! What a signing! Great signing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with everything you've just said there. Him and Bowen are Moyes' best two signings.
Yeah.
While there's others in the same category here, and the big difference between those two and the rest of them in between them, funnily enough, is longevity. You know, Dawson was good for a season and a bit. Mario good for a few months. Kudus good for a season. Lingard a few months. Souček and Bowen arrived in the same January transfer window back in 2020. They've stayed in the 11 since. They've both scored goals. They've both been absolutely crucial. And sure, listen, there's been times where Souček's been the worst player on the pitch, but that doesn't mean that he's not been a good signing for David Moyes. He's been an absolute fantastic signing for Moyes. A really good signing for the club. Really good value for 20 million. Scored important goals for this football club, and without him and Bowen coming in, we could have got relegated. We'll never know because of the way COVID happened and stuff like that. We will never know. It's always just going to be hypothetical. But what we do know is both of them had an important role in us staying up at the end of that season. Thomas Souček, though, I've never seen a guy bleed so much during a football game, but he'll do it next week and the next week because that's just what he does. He gives 100%. And there's one or two people in the bottom tier here which I shouldn't have bothered. Well, actually, I don't think they bothered. That's the last thing anybody could ever say about Thomas Souček. He's given everything to this club, but he's also given everything to David Moyes. And there's a reason Souček is coming across a little bit jittery about his future at West Ham and thanking David Moyes because Moyes was good for him, but he repaid David Moyes big time. A perfect transfer, I think.
Yeah.
Vlasic.
It's just terrible. It's just, I mean, it shouldn't have bothered. It's just a complete and utter waste of money. It's just another one, you know. And to be fair, look, we're being even-handed here. You know, we're saying when transfers really were successful.
Well, look at the tier list so far. It's very even.
Very even. Yeah, it's very even-handed. Yeah, but you know, when he gets it right, David Moyes. I guess you might say this of any manager. I think and you'll never know because I don't. We've got an encyclopedia of every other club, but Moyes does have the capacity to spend money and then discard the club's money really quickly. And you just can't. Even if you're Moyes' biggest fan, the bottom of that tier list explains why he shouldn't really be managing transfers in the modern profit sustainability age. You know, understandably players don't work out, but at least give them a chance not to work out. You know, I'll never. I'll never forget. Actually, I have forgotten because the details of it have escaped me. Somebody got a horrific injury during a game, and Vlasic cried. And I thought I remember saying at the time, I remember what I said more than the actual injury and what team it was. But I did, and I thought it said a lot for Vlasic and his sort of his caring nature and whatnot. But I felt Vlasic was on the way out then. It put Vlasic off for the rest of the game.
Okay, I've looked it up just to interject. It was when he collided with Burnley's Ashley Westwood.
All right, okay.
And it sort of took Westwood out, and he started crying because of
It felt, which I said at the time, it showed him as a man, you know, as a human being. You know, he knew he'd really hurt this other person. It was a lovely thing to see in that sense. But it was almost his last chance, and it freaked him out for the rest of the game. Vlasic was freaked out, and I think he had to come off in that game. And I remember saying at the time, I think this is not going to fly with Moyes at all. And I think we almost saw him hardly at all after that. And it was actually a complete waste of money. I'm sure we never paid the 28 million. We never would have paid that because we'd never have met all the stipulations. But I'm pretty sure.
Also, there's the Russian
stuff. You're right, absolutely. He's from CSK Moscow, wasn't he? Nonetheless, a complete waste of time. And I think if I'd have been running a club and I'd have seen that go on, I would have been hauling him in and saying, "What the hell are you doing? You know, we got a turnover of 230 million a year here. I know it's different now, and you know, like 10%. You waste 10%, wasting 10% of that, mate. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but bad signing.
Yeah, this is one where it's a little bit you can't. You're going to struggle to defend Moyes on this one. Actually, I think some players you can make a case for, and perhaps it wasn't Moyes' signing, but I do feel like there's a big difference between Moyes ignoring a player on loan and saying, "Well, I don't want him. I'm not going to play him." But then when you sign a player for nearly 30 million, and he was like the one of the big signings that summer as well. Actually, I spoke about like a top left back would be able to get on with most wingers. Well, actually, a top manager would be able to work with most players. You can't just ignore them, especially when you're chucking out a load. Now, this is where you can use Moyes' words against him. Moyes has said on that podcast, Stephen Bartlett, CEO, about how the manager always has a final say. And he said, yeah, you can't have it any other way. Like, I don't believe him. I don't think he's telling the truth. But that's his words. He's claiming that he has final say on all the transfers. Well, then this is the same as Felipe Anderson for me. And I appreciate Anderson wasn't a Moyes signing, and he had a bit of a hand in Anderson at West Ham. But it's a big outlay. There's clearly something there.
Yeah.
But it felt like we just gave up way too soon. The value has depreciated a lot. The difference was, while Anderson had a crap loan, Vlasic's one was pretty successful, going out to Italy and doing really well, but the club was up against the wall with a gun, and the gun was in Torino's hands because they were like, well, we want him. We ain't paying that. Even that option to buy clause, we're not even going to trigger that because we want him for less.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they took the piss out of us because we've got about 80 million. It's not the worst fee in the world, but it is when you're paying over 20 million for him. We had our pants pulled down. And I think David Moyes undid the belt and the button and the zip in order for us to...
This ranking video has taken a turn.
Well, in the ranking video, we've only got one more to do, and that is the skipper, Kurt Zouma.
I'm actually going to give him a thumbs up, Gio.
Yeah.
Go on, you say.
Yeah. Listen, it's a bit... feels like it's gone a bit sour of late, a little bit. I think giving him the captain's armband doesn't feel like it's paid off, but I don't think it's been a complete disaster. However, for 25 million, I think we've had value. I think we've had a 25 million pound setback. Again, doesn't feel like we're laughing at Chelsea because we've mugged them off, but at the same time, I don't think they're laughing at us because they've mugged us off.
Yeah,
I think he's obviously someone that Moyes has trusted a lot, and he's put in some big performances. And I think this season perhaps overshadows how good Zouma was last season when we won the Conference League. There were some big performances in there, and the issue was keeping him fit. Weirdly, we kept him fit this season. His performances have dropped off a little bit, but there's been some games he's played where he's been that good. He's been up there with some of the best centre-backs I've seen at West Ham. Obviously, other people, older generations, such as Gonzo, but we've seen more centre-backs than I at West Ham. So they'll say, hang on a minute, that's way too much. But some of the best ones I've seen include the likes of Winston Reid, and some of Zuma's best performances were in keeping with what I've seen from Winston Reid on his day. Not enough of them. But yeah, a good signing, Gonzo, a good signing. But this is where the club get it wrong. In the next 12 months, you could very much find us doing this video in 3-4 years' time, and we're knocking Zouma down a tier because he's outstayed his welcome. We've had to release him. He's cost a lot of money in wages while he's not been playing, etc., etc. But if the club, let's just say hypothetically, the club sold him today for 20 million, I'd almost argue there's an argument for nudging him up a category, saying, look, 5 million to have this guy for the last 4 seasons.
I liked your mime for you. You said nudging him up a category. I thought it was a good mime.
We've done our Viola, but anyway, yeah, thumbs up for me.
Yeah, look, I'll give him that. You know, you got the whole cat thing as well, which, you know, I was not to virtue signal it. I just got no desire to watch any person kicking an animal around at all. I don't know why you'd film it. For them to film it, must have thought it was in some way level acceptable. But once you've accepted you don't like it, and that's not a good thing to do, actually, it was quite resilient of him to be able to come back, because realistically, there was a point during that I thought he's screwed. I thought he's probably going to get arrested, and probably he did get called into questioning or whatever. I thought he's probably going to be over. I think what surprised me most was Moyes picked him for the next game. I think the next game was a European game, quite possibly.
For some reason, I think it was Leicester City. It might have been UP. I've got Leicester in my head.
No. Played against the Foxes. So, you know, I thought for him to be able to even focus on the game showed a resilience. I thought it was all over for him. Really, I didn't think there was any. Honestly, I thought he's not going to be able to play football in this country. But yeah, so I mean, he bounced back from that, I guess. And no one mentions it anymore.
It's almost like Kurt Zuma's got 9 lives.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah.
You could argue that was good management by Moyes as well, though, in the sense that
it was. Well, again, you have to take out your you know, how you may feel about it and how you may feel about what he did, and just park that for a second. Was Moyes sticking up for him? Was that good for David Moyes and good for Kurt Zouma? It was. It probably was. And you can see that now in the way that Zouma's spoken about Moyes. Very, you know, he stuck by me during the tough times. We all know what he meant when he said that. Basically, when I was having my collar felt by the old bill, the RSPCA were close to, charging me. People coming around my house and taking me pets away and stuff like that. And everyone in the country was booing me. That's what he meant by tough times. David Moyes stuck with him.
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I think he's probably been a good signing for West Ham.
Well, there you have it. Let's take a look at the tier list. We want you guys to get involved in the comments below, where you just basically tell us which tier you would put each player in. And the only one I would change, are you happy with it? The only one I would change is maybe move a Gerd up to thumbs down, because I think he's had plenty of opportunities, just been crap. But bar that, I'm okay with everything, I think. Let me just run through it. Let me just recap, because it is quite small on the screen. I appreciate that. Well, let's start with the bottom. They shouldn't have bothered category. We've got Nathan Gerd, Maxwell Cornet, Flynn Downs, Jordan Hugill, Alex Kral, and Nikola Vlasic. In the thumbs down category, so those who perhaps didn't play very well or represented bad value for money under David Moyes, we've got Patrice Evra, Danny Ings, Callum Phillips, and Gianluca Scamacca. In the Ridge Tea Biscuit, they were all right. They were fine. And Matt Said, Ben Rama, James Ward-Prowse, Tilo Kedder, and Darren Randolph. In the thumbs up, the ones that have impressed us, reflected good value for money, repaid West Ham, and more importantly, repaid David Moyes. We've got Edson Alvarez. We've also got Alfonso Areola alongside Vladimir Soufal and Emerson. We've got Konstantinos Mavropanos, Lucas Paqueta, and Kurt Zouma. But then here we go, the creme de la creme, the outstanding, the ones that were fantastic value for West Ham and fantastic value for David Moyes. We've got Hammer of the Year, Jarrod Bowen, alongside Craig Dawson. We've got João Mario, who was on loan, alongside Mohammed Kudus. We've got Jesse Lingard, who was on loan. And we've also got Thomas Souček, who was initially on loan. So out of the 6 in the top category, 4 initially at least were loan signings under David Moyes. So make of that what you will. Interesting. I've enjoyed that. That was a good video.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think so. I'm sure many will disagree on many of them. I think Calvin Phillips has got away with one, quite frankly. But yeah, there we go.
Get involved in the comments below. I'll be back a bit later on, take a look and see what you're all saying. However, if you've enjoyed this ranking off as recommended by Sam recommended you come and watch myself and Gonzo rank off West Ham players. Please do drop a like on and click on the thumbs up. Subscribe to time. We don't know what's going on anymore, but if you've enjoyed it, subscribe. And myself and Gonzo, we'll catch you in the next tier list.